Welcome to Compassionate Care Conversations. My name is Scott Bradley. I'm the owner of Bradley & Son Funeral Homes and SimpleCremationNJ.com. I'm a third-generation funeral director, clinical social worker, and a certified psychoanalyst. My mission here is to speak with people who improve the quality of life of the traumatized, the dying, and the stressed-out caregivers. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Clelia Pergola. She's the author of 2 books, The Law Firm Revolution and Life Lessons and Legacy. She's Chief Operating Officer of New Jersey Elder Law Center at Goldberg Law Group and a self-described caregiver advocate. Clelia, I am excited to have you here and hear about your work and the ways that you have a positive and lasting impact on your clients. So, tell us about yourself and what inspired you to work in the field of caregiver advocacy.
So I sound a lot better when you describe me than when I describe myself. So I don't know if I can describe myself better, but for a little description, I kind of just fell into it, really. My nonna, my grandmother, she ended up having dementia, and in her remaining 6 years, I took care of her and started working at a firm, an elder law firm. Didn't really know what elder law was. It started in the 70s. So I kind of just fell in love with it. I knew I always loved seniors. I loved my nonna, and I didn't really understand that there was this whole part of life that people dealt with that is really one of the most, I think, traumatizing parts of life. And so I just realized that what I was left, not necessarily adoring, right, because I was in crisis and dealing with one crisis after another, but it was really when she was gone, all the decisions that I made and kind of rectifying that in my brain, if I did a good job or not. And so fell into just making sure that I am a resource for caregivers and can help them through a very difficult part of life.
Insight. So you look back at helping your grandmother, your nonna, and saw that things could be improved, you could do things differently. There was a lot of lessons to learn, and you ended up writing a book about it.
Yes.
And then you took that information and you developed this elder care part of a law firm.
Yes.
So what motivated you to develop this advocacy model in the elder law field as opposed to social work or nursing homes or I don't know, anywhere else? How did you get into the law field with that?
So little secret is I've always wanted to be a criminal law attorney.
Oh.
But education wasn't a big thing in my household. So Italians like to stay home and be the homemakers and take care of their children. And that's exactly what my nonna was. 3rd grade education, never drove a car.
Oh.
And so I was never supposed to work. I don't understand what happened, but I really realize that, success could be defined in so many different ways. And if you look at my grandmother, you would say she's not a success story, right? In today's day and age. But what she taught me, really, I think I was blessed with trillions in values.
Yeah.
And I am giving those lessons not only to my children, but to people like yourselves, and hopefully making an impact. And so to me, her story is such a success, and even in death, she affected people.
Yeah. Excuse me. one of your books, you write about legacy. And I love the idea of legacy. And you're really speaking to it right now. You can take your grandmother's constitution and she passes it down to you, and you can use it in a way that gives you great joy. You work for a law firm, you do all these things. So you didn't have to be your Nona, but you could live with her inside of you, so to speak. So I wonder, in your book or the way you think, what is the true meaning of legacy?
So let's not tell the attorneys this, that, plan for things and money and assets. But I really think legacy is the way that you make somebody feel, right? And how they remember you. Something so simple as, if I talked about shopping before. Love shopping.
Yes.
Can't wait to go shopping at your wife's store. But you go shopping and someone that is at the cash register has a conversation with you and realize that you're having a bad day and makes you smile. Or, someone just gives you, you know what, I'm just going to give you a discount. There's something going on. It's okay that you don't have a coupon. But little did they know that you were having that really bad day and that it kind of changed you. And I think that's legacy, right? I might not know what that person's name is, but they affected somebody that day, and I'm sure that they affect many people. And I think that's the definition of legacy.
As I said earlier, I'm a social worker and a psychoanalyst, and so a priority in my mind is this idea of legacy being something much more than about money or logistics. It's really about one's constitution. It's about passing down stories, and I think that gives life it enhances life. So I have a few questions that I want to stick with this idea of legacy. Because you write about it and kind of explore it a little. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So
I think generationally, one of the things I've experienced a lot, and you may too in the estate planning kind of segment, is the resistance between generations. And so the younger generation may want to be helpful and eventually be caregivers. But at the moment, their parents have strength and resilience and, I don't know, dogged style, I don't know, whatever it might be. And they're not really passing down legacy. And it's getting in the way of maybe them helping each other. So do you think legacy, passing down legacy to the next generation, benefits both generations?
Absolutely. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, is that stories are so important because it's what make us who we are. And we're such complex human beings that you really can't, I've learned you can't say never, you can't say always, you can't even define yourself by a word. So as you share stories, you get to know the individual. And, I know some of you may be laughing and saying, well, of course I know my mother, but do you? And, we show sometimes what we want the world to see and really not what we experienced and what we felt. And I think those are two very different stories to tell. So I think as you tell those stories, you get to know the individual and maybe their wants and needs and how they want a company run or how they want to be remembered. You are a shining example of that, third generation. So I think you can speak to that more than I can, for sure.
I can speak to the fact that there was a lot of resistance and there was a lot of challenges to overcome. And it helped that there might have been a person like you to mediate and to work through that. So is that part of your company's model, is to help bring out that legacy?
Yes. So I think we do that naturally. It's not necessarily like a service that we provide, but it's just encouraging people to talk about certain things, talk about sometimes the very uncomfortable subjects, assets, their passing, their arrangements, all of those things. So I think by us starting the conversation as like an innocent third party, they feel like a level of, talk about psychoanalyzing, although I have no education in this whatsoever. So, but they feel that they have to have a level of respect and respond.
Yes.
And so that kind of just starts the conversation.
Yeah. I'm wondering if passing along legacy boosts a cooperative care experience, between the cared for and the caregivers. Do you see that?
In what way?
If I were to tell you about myself, my fears and my anxieties and my joys and everything, would you be a better caregiver to me in that regard? You may know more about me. You may have more respect for what my third grade education as opposed to being a college graduate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there are the person, learning more about the person. I go into these assisted living facilities and they have a certain personality. And I know one facility, there's a lot of educated individuals at this one assisted living facility. And so they like to have speakers in with, PhDs to kind of get their mind going. And so I think that talk about getting to know people, right? Talking about that company and having the wherewithal and care to care about the types of people they have staying at that assisted living, to be able to bring in and give them a quality of life in their remaining years. I think that's kind of an example. Whereas you go to some facilities and, it's sad to say, but they're drooling or yelling or kind of just in a wheelchair, and that's a totally different other environment. So,
caregiver advocate, with legacy in mind, when do you think caregiving should begin?
Oof. So, I'm nobody's ever asked to be a caregiver, and nobody's ever trained to be a caregiver. So it's kind of like, congratulations, you're promoted. And you're like, I don't understand. I didn't even apply for this job. And the person that you're caring for oftentimes, is not even the person that you knew all these years. So I think caregiving is one of the toughest jobs because most of the times you don't get a thank you. You don't get you're doing a great job, and you have no training for it. And that, gives you the conversation of when they pass away, it leads you to, well, did I do a good job? And nobody's there to respond to you after the project's over.
Yeah.
That was dreary, wasn't it?
You know what? It was incredibly enlightening. Just the idea that you're aware that it's not a position that you've asked for. You didn't volunteer for it. It kind of comes your way. You might be the person, looking around. Everyone's looking at you to get the work done. So it's sort of a ungrateful position, but it's very, very challenging. We're going to talk more about caregiving in a second. Thank you.
And I'm sure that for a person like yourself, right, with your family sometimes, or friends, or some people may look at you and go, well, you run a funeral home, you're very successful. What do I do?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
Yeah. Why are you looking at me?
Right. Like, well, and there's, if it is your loved one, there is the emotional aspect of things, and you're supposed to make an unemotional, educated decision. So that's where like the rubber meets the road a little bit, because you want to do what you think is right, but at the same time, you're emotional and it's hard to make that judgment.
Yeah. Which is a good reason to have your company as a support.
Thank you.
Thank you.